Chatfield Public School Superintendent Ed Harris is sharing his thoughts with KTTC today following the decision by voters to reject the school's referendum, which would have built a new high school gym. Harris says he knew it was going to be a challenge to get the bond passed after reviewing survey information from last year. He says he's pleased with the process the district had with community engagement through meetings and discussions, but says there was some disappointment, adding how there was somewhat of a common concern from those opposed to the idea, which was discussed at the meetings leading up to Election Day.
It comes down to economics, and tax pressure right now is high. And we knew that this was going to be a big ask, and we were very cognizant of that fact and respectful of the notion that the economy lately, in the last few years, has been harder on everyone.
The referendum was for $11 million towards the new gym. The final tally of the votes was 832 for no and 561 for yes. We've seen the most recent referendum in southeast Minnesota fail, but what about other districts in the Gopher State? Tonight, our Matt Rainier is digging deeper into this topic to find which schools have failed to get the support. Matt.
Caitlin, we saw this referendum for a new gym fail, but there were 4 other districts in our area that tried to get their past referendums last fall passed, but only for the voters to say no. Before we get to those schools, let's start out with things on the state level. There were more than a dozen instances of Minnesota schools failing to get taxpayer support. According to the Minnesota Department of Education, there were 32 operating referendums in 2024. Of those, only 12 were approved by voters, with 20 being rejected. Moving closer to home now with 2 of the 4 schools we just mentioned in our area that failed to get voter support back in November, starting things off with Byron and its referendum, with the plan being to increase gen ed revenue per student by $800. The majority said no. Moving up north to Cannon Falls with its proposal to increase its spending per student from $500 to up to $1,250. 53% of voters rejected it. The next 2 schools in our area are Dover, Eota, and Fillmore Central. Dover, Eota's tax levy increase would have generated an additional $950 per student spending, but voters ultimately rejected it. And lastly, Fillmore Central increased with its plan increasing student spending from $500 per student to $1,250. 1,478 voters said no to this. Now, circling back to the subject of Chatfield Public Schools' failed gym referendum, Superintendent Harris says at this time there's no plan to go back to the voters with this question. Reporting live here in the studio, I'm Matt Rainier.